Philadelphia, Milwaukee. You're listening to the Nyumba Upendo show on WNOB 860 AM, 106.5 FM with Kweku Amawasi. And she's back, Dr. Alisia Moutry.
Yes, I'm so happy to be back. Deepa was like, I just wanted to make sure it was no sibling situations going on. I'm like,
we got the contract settled now. She back in with Mr. Debo, with Jermaine Rideout.
Yes.
My favorite team. I appreciate y'all brothers so much. We can't start the show without our P&Ps. My sister has secured the permission and prayers from our mother, Helen Webb, who's doing good. I just want to thank everybody for your prayers. She's doing good. She's doing good. So we're grateful and thankful.
Yeah, she had a prayer. She had some new words in her prayer this time. Sometimes folks had that status quo of the prayer. This time she made a comment. She said, "I just pray that based upon all the death that's been happening, that something will happen and be said in the show today that'll give some peace to folks today, because Milwaukee is hurting. The world is hurting, and that was part of her prayer as well too. So I just love those words.
Well, you know what? It's on point and it's on par, because usually we try to find an ancestor to dedicate the show to, and I was like, well, who do I want to do? Who fits the tone for this show? But because of all of the deaths, whenever you see a death like Junior Bridgman, it hurt my heart. King was 71, so he got 10 plus. So I don't feel, though we were cheated, though it do feel like we were cheated, it was like he got to live his life. But it was a young sister, went to Rufus King and went to Whitewater, only 19.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna say her name just for respect for her family, but for everybody in Milwaukee who understands her situation. We just want to send prayers out to her entire family. Yes. The one thing what was so beautiful and precious about this, on Monday, I got the honor at Frederick Hospital. The family said, our baby's gone, but we're going to give her organs away.
Lord have mercy.
And so they had this kind of walk of honor. So all of the people who wanted to support the family, who wanted to go to the friends, they got a chance to see her one last time before she went in, to be able to give those organs away. And somebody was walking down, and she said, even in death, my baby still giving. And that was something in my heart where you say, we have so much loss and whatnot, but this was a person who found, even in that loss and the parents hurt, they said, we still gonna give. And that's what I want us to feel for our community. Like in these times of despair, when we want to give up, we want to stop, we don't want to keep going. It's like we have to find something within us to be able to do. And that's really what today's show is about, because Tupac once famously said, if it ain't no hope for the youth, then the truth is it ain't no hope for the future. And so what we want to do is to be able to talk about this show today. And we want to talk about what can we do for our youth. Yeah. But even when we talk about Junior Bridgman, here was a man who didn't make a lot of money in the NBA, according to today's term. For us, obviously it was a lot, but how he flipped that and parlayed that from $3 million over 12 years to $1.4 billion at the time of his death. We understand the road to entrepreneurship is real, and that gives you a sense of not just of independence and autonomy, but it gives you a different level of freedom, because now I'm not worried about somebody telling me what to do. And Milwaukee, I'm proud to have this sister in, who I think fits in that same mold. Sister Kelly Felder, I want to thank you, because I see that you're the ED over at North Avenue at the bid for 28, COO of Brothers Infrastructure Group, like just doing so many great things on your own. So what I want you to do is just kind of reintroduce yourself to WNOV community, as far as where you're from in the city, and what allowed you to get into this business before we go into what brought you in here today.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me this morning. And a little bit about myself. I am the child of a self-employed woman.
Okay.
So my
you
mother.
was born into this.
I was born into it. And me and my sister pride ourselves on what my mother was able to teach us. And everything that she did, she made sure that my brother and my sister and myself, we knew every step that she was taking.
I love
and
that.
We were a little confused growing up, because she would make money and we were like, oh man, mama made $1,000. Then she'll say, okay, go ahead and buy those products. Okay, go ahead and take this and pay those bills. And we're like, hold on a second, ma'am. You mean to tell me we're not going shopping? She was like, no, I have to reinvest in my stock. And I'm like, you just spent $500 on Dudley products? Is you serious, Mom? We could have did something. She's like, no, this is how we keep the lights on.
Yeah.
So my mother paved the way for me to be
Yeah.
the woman that I am today, to be the mother that I am today. So kudos to her.
No,
I
and,
really
and
appreciate
I
it.
think about that, like when we talk about financial literacy within our community specifically, we know we're not going to get it in the schools. They want us to be consumers. They don't want us to be able to understand the power within our hands. They say whatever your salary is, that's the bribe they pay you to forget your dreams and to help somebody else fulfill theirs. But what I love about what you're doing, Kelly, is you said, okay, I had this as a child growing up. I'm doing it now, but I know other people don't have this. So you got a program that's coming up. Well, let's talk about this on Saturday.
Yes, I am so happy. I'm proud that God gave me the vision and gave me the green light to go ahead.
Come on.
Because I was the little, I sat down for a while and I've always been involved in the community.
Yeah.
And me and my partner, we have a nonprofit organization, Big Inc., MKE. And our biggest focus was workforce development. He's a civil engineer and I'm in construction management, been doing this for many years. And our focus was the construction training program. And we were, revamping, and we both came to the conclusion that before they get to this point, there's some knowledge that they need to know.
Yeah.
They'll walk into our doors looking for assistance, looking for some guidance, but they didn't know the basics.
Right.
And as successful, seasoned entrepreneurs, we'll sit and we have to do certain things and we'll say to each other, wow, I wish somebody knew this. But we were just able to, this hurdle that we were able to overcome. And who do we start with? We have to start with our babies.
That's right.
We have to start with our youth. I'm a mother.
Yeah.
And I may have birthed 3, but I'm a mother to many.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be a voice, let me be a voice and give this information to all of the children that would like to sign up. So this is a one-stop shop. This isn't that. This is going to be ongoing. So we can't always look at the government to come in and provide services.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Can't do it. We have to do it for ourselves. I don't want to just die with this knowledge that I have and keeping it to myself and just for my children. That's not fair. Because my mother was a mother to many. She held a lot of things in her salon and made sure that people felt welcomed. I have to be able to model that as well.
Well, this sounds full circle because this is just exactly what you described. Your mom, like, not only just did it, but she showed you, and that's a note to parents. Watch what you're doing because your children are watching you, right? You the good, the bad, and the ugly. But you took the good and you said, guess what? I see this and I have this knowledge I'm going to share. I'm going to teach. So your company, you talked about this foundational piece. Real quick, just tell me, what are some of the things folks were coming to the table with and the foundational components were missing? Like, what are some of those things?
Well,
Like,
some
give
of
me
the
just a
things
couple
were
examples.
just basic knowledge of self. So our nonprofit organization, we had to, like I said, revamp and think about the quality of life. You have to have a balance in life. Some people may sign up and come in just because someone told them to, not because they really wanted to be there.
Yes.
And we decided not to take any grants from anybody because those grants have stipulations
So
on
we
how
can do
you
what
deal
we
with
want
your
to do.
people.
All money ain't good money.
All money ain't good money. So we want to be able to connect and deal with our people on a level of understanding for them. So that is how I came up with this initial program. And I said I wanted to do something. My children are part of the Center for Teaching Entrepreneurship. And it gave they right here, my son is a part of the Hustle and Grow program with WNOV.
I like that.
And it brought something out of him. And I said, if young people want to be entrepreneurs, they need to be able to have the skills to sit up and have a conversation like this because they're going to need to interact. So with adults,
and not on the phone, you mean?
And not on the phone.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Right.
Have
So
real conversations.
during COVID, everyone was online ordering stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I ordered for my children was this Financial Jumpstart Academy powered by Sister Sense. So I brought these cards in, and these cards are some of the things that the youth are going to learn. So I was able to take this and put a quiz together Oh, these kids gonna get something.
What you talking about? This vocabulary right here. Let's talk about it. Oh,
yes.
okay.
So these are the things that they're going to experience. On top of me having my own curriculum, I'm going to incorporate some things from the Sense to Sense program.
Okay, so let's take a step back and tell them what's going on with this boot camp, where it's at, how to get involved with it. Go ahead.
All righty. So it'll be Saturday, March 15th.
This Saturday.
Yes, sir. I love it. At 4727 West Center Street. And
what's the age range?
The age is 11 to 17. So
and what's the name of the event again, too?
It's the Entrepreneurship Youth Boot Camp.
Okay.
So we're specializing in finance and marketing. So I'm doing a couple of elevator speech training with the kids.
I love that.
Teach them how to publicly speak and let the crowd know who they are and what they represent and, you know, the type of business they're looking to have. So I couldn't give too much away. I was talking to my daughter in the car. I was like, wait a minute, you're going to participate. I can't tell you everything. So
that's fair.
I'm really excited. And thank you to our sponsors. Homer Blow was a sponsor. Kiana Brown and Kiana's Kitchen was a sponsor.
Nice.
Of course, my organization sponsored. The Center Street Marketplace Bid was a sponsor. So I'm so grateful and appreciative of everyone.
So how much is this for the people and how would they get in contact with you?
It is free.
See,
every space was sponsored.
Wow.
So we always say when something's free, it's not free. But it's because somebody else had the benevolence to be able to say we think that this is important. And we really appreciate when people do come in with a program and say this is important. We don't want cost to be a barrier. This is it. But you do got to pay something. You got to pay with your time, your attention. And what is the exact time from it where people can come in? Give us all those details.
Okay, so you can go and to our website. Wait, no, I changed that. Email me.
Okay.
At BigInc, BIGINCMKE @gmail.com, and I will send you over a registration link.
All right. We'll put that link on the website too. So be looking forward to it.
And come and do it fast because I think I may have 4 slots open now.
Well, how many do you have so far?
I had it open for 30. And I have 4 slots left.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a full crew.
Come
and
on.
I do have some assistants that are coming in to work with me, you know. Yeah. So I'm grateful for my community. Goodness gracious.
No, I was looking at the agenda and I was jealous. I was telling Kelly before she came in, I needed something like this growing up because when I'm looking at you come in at 8:30 for a little food, refreshments, gotta get something in the stomach. Then at 9 and 9:30, got some little icebreakers for everybody kind of get to know each other. But from 9:30 to 10 is the pre-quiz. And then from 10 to 12, that's like where the bulk of it really starts. So kind of talk about this pre-quiz. And then at the end of it, they get a certificate kind of diploma thing, recognizing that they completed the boot camp?
Yes, they do. I'm excited about that. So the pre-quiz is some of the information that we have here. And some of the meat and potatoes of the program is going to be very interactive. I don't want to give too much away because I want them to be able to experience it for the first time. They're going to be very surprised of how creative this boot camp was set up. So they're going to be sitting a little while, but they're going to be interacting with me throughout the day and not knowing that they're implementing these skills.
Learning it.
I love it. I love it. At the same time. So there's going to be interactive stages there.
Come on.
Where they're going to have to be the producers and the consumers, and they're going to have, well, I'll just give this little tidbit away. They're going to have artificial money there.
Oh, all right.
So the thing
you heard it on WNOV, you get an inside tip. Okay.
Yes, but at the end, the children that did register and sign up, thankful to our partners at BMO, they're going to be donating these banks. Okay. And my organization is going to put money into those banks for those children for them to be able to go and start their accounts. So I had to give that away. I wanted that to be a secret. So hopefully
everybody ain't listening, so they don't know. But but what I love about this though is I think when I look at it, say we're going to explore, we're going to experiment, we're going to build foundation for the futures of business. Talking to the parents and the grandparents, because I think this is not just the one time, you probably will do this again. So they like, oh, when it's the next one coming up, even though that date might not be there, what are some things where you say, hey, this is why you want to come in next time? When they leave, they will have these 1, 2, 3 set of skills that they didn't have coming in.
They definitely will have the knowledge of entrepreneurship and what it looks like. And it's not always pretty.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people assume that if you're self-employed, you have this type of freedom. You can go on vacation. Most self-employed people take the least amount of vacations.
Yeah.
Because we're
always
hustling, always grinding, always looking for the next contract. And we know that if we have a staff, if I don't have contracts lined up, my staff don't eat.
Yeah.
And understanding that my home may not be my work base. So I have an office.
Yeah.
So I have to pay bills at home. I have to pay bills at my office. I have to pay my staff.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? It looks like structure. It looks like discipline. So I want to leave them with that structure and that discipline
and just
say,
understanding.
hey, and understanding. And I want them to know that this is round one for them, but they're coming back. And when they come back with the tools that you were given and show me how you were able to implement them even at home.
Yes.
So the pamphlets and the worksheets and the workbooks that they're going to get, they're going to be able to take it home. They're going to have a budget overview and let me know what you did since the last time I seen you.
Oh,
so
I love
it's
this.
It's
not just like you said, it's not a one-time off. This is just the beginning. And what I love, because my children always get mad when they do something. I'll be like, listen, we're gonna monetize this. It's like, I don't want to monetize. You take away the fun. And what you talked about is sometimes you can't put your passion and make a profit, but sometimes it's just for the curiosity of learning those skills. What was, I guess, as a parent that's listening here and a grandparent, for those 4 slots left, what's your elevator speech to them to say, this is why you need to get them in from everything else you said? Yes.
Okay.
The teacher on the spot.
Okay. So my elevator speech to them is, growing up, we heard the term, it takes a village.
Yeah.
So I want you to know that you have a village out here, and my organization and myself and my team can be a definite village to you. We don't ever want you to feel that if you don't know something that you can't achieve something.
Absolutely.
So don't walk away from this opportunity thinking that it's too early in the morning. The early bird gets the worm. Wake the kids up. Don't give them an option. Tell them you're going to get this information.
That's why she called it 4 a.m.
You need this. You know, we are going to be ancestors one day. We're going to transition one day, and we're not getting what was the comedian's name? He said, I have less years ahead of me than I have behind me. So as we're getting, I think it was Deion Cole. As we're getting older, we need to be able to instill and drop the gems,
that knowledge
into the youth.
We have to.
Because my children one day are going to be sitting in these seats having these conversations, and I want to make sure that they have the tools
and taking care of you someday,
and taking care of me one day. Yes.
You know, Kelly, I don't know if you do anything wrong except for root for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Fly high, Eagles, fly high.
You got bragging rights on that one.
Yeah,
you got bragging rights on that one right there. No, you listen, I'm going to tell you what, obviously, when we always talk about this show, we talk about the intersection of something in mental health and entrepreneurship. I think, like you said, it gives us that ability to have to understand ourselves, to be self-disciplined, but it's a freedom. Even when it's a hustle and a grind, it's different when you're working hard for yourself than working for somebody else.
That's right.
And
knowing yourself.
Every day when I wake up, there's this thing that we do in our family. We hold our heads and we talk to ourselves. We hold our root and we say, thank you for this day. Thank you for giving me the ability to speak with honey on my tongue. Meaning be pleasant. Be mindful of what you say. And I go to my shrine and I thank my ancestors for paving the way and saying, hey, you got this. And I talk to my dad every day. Like, Dad, I got this. Thank you for looking over me. Thank you for giving me the tools that I have. You know, so that's a big thing. Prayer.
I'm
be intentional.
I'm choked up. And so listen, everybody, we're gonna get that information for you to get your people out for the boot camp. If not this time, the next time. Kelly, we'd like to thank you for coming on Nyumba Upendo show. We're gonna be back on the second half talking about hope for the youth. We'll see you on the other side.
Donald Trump is out of control, stopping payments for healthcare and food for hungry kids, eliminating the Department of Education, and letting Elon Musk access your most private information. Now Trump and Musk are backing Brad Schimmel because they know he'll let them do whatever they want. Not Judge Susan Crawford. She'll be the check and balance we need to protect us from Trump when he goes too far. That's why we need Judge Susan Crawford on the Supreme Court.
Welcome back to the Nyumba Upendo show. It's Kweku with Dr.Alisia Moutry. Jermaine right out, Mr. Darren Debo is holding it down for WNOV. Welcome back, Milwaukee. If you've been listening, we just listened to Kelly Felder. She was talking about her boot camp, entrepreneurship for youth. We're going to put that information in the tagline. Just a few limited spots left for this Saturday for the people coming in. But what I love about it is this whole thing about it, empowerment for the youth, about what can we do. We always talk about, sometimes people say it's nothing to do for the youth, but sometimes it is, and we don't take advantage of those opportunities. On this second half, I met this young lady. Oh man, I think it was 2024, but at the end of it, and just a dynamic personality, has a heart for the community. And what I love about the work where she works at is they really work with from pediatrics to geriatrics. I mean, it just don't stop in the community. But we talk about hope for the youth. They're actually doing something really good for the youth. They got something called Voices of Hope. But before we go into that, Amani, I know you went to UW Milwaukee.
I did.
Tell the people what got you interested in doing this type of work, from growing up and everything like that brought you here.
I love these types of questions because for me, background, born and raised in Milwaukee. My name is Imani Taylor. Hi, everyone. So I've always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that knew that was my lane, that was my pathway. Marketing is also something that I knew I wanted to do. I come from a pretty creative family.
Yeah.
My mom, she likes sews, she makes clothes, she does a little bit of art, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Come on.
My dad
shout outs to moms.
Right. My dad also had like some musicality on his side and poetry and writing. And so the creativity in our family was certainly, it wasn't a shortage.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to always be in a creative lane.
Yeah.
I knew advertising was something I loved. I was one of those kids that paid attention to commercials. I remember like my favorite commercials, like the Orbit commercials were my favorite. And so, marketing was the thing that I knew I wanted to do.
Okay.
I knew that I wanted to own my own business. I remember telling my mom, "Oh, Mom, I'm gonna get you a car for every day of the week. Like, don't worry. I'm gonna have you kept up. You're gonna have everything that you want." And I'm like, I can only do that if I work for myself.
Yeah.
But I also knew and recognized the value even early on of understanding employee relations and employee dynamics. So I actually went to school for both marketing and human resources. So I graduated from UW Milwaukee with those 2 degrees, and I also had got a certificate in entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So my experience was rather unique. I graduated December 2016 with my HR degree. And then May 2017, which is the next semester, with my marketing and marketing degree and my entrepreneurship.
Come on, scholar. Okay.
Very much so. So I was very determined and focused, and I knew that those were at least like the baseline skill sets that I wanted to learn to help me kind of get into this position that I'm in today.
Now, I do a lot of work with the Z's. That's how I met you. So with the Z's and Raven Abdullah, tell me how you got a chance to meet them and how y'all had this synergy.
It is an interesting story, actually. So their story is certainly a beautiful and love-filled story too. For sure. We are now literally a family-owned business together. I'll kind of walk you down that path as well. But around the time that I graduated, 2017, I started working in more HR positions. I was like, oh, this is so boring. I don't want to do this. This is great to know. But the creative side, I want to get into the creative side, right? And so I was trying to figure out how can I start to leverage my marketing degree. I ended up finding a position that was a blend of HR and marketing. It was a recruitment marketing position. So that was like a nice way to blend the two. And during that time, I was thinking about actually starting my own business. One of my friends from college, we actually had an entrepreneurship class together. And as a part of the requirement for the course, you had to come up with a business venture and you had to pitch that business venture. And we worked together, came up with the business plan, pitched it, got some investors to actually be interested in it. And she kind of like took off with it. It was her baby. It was her business idea. And I was like, oh, well, this is a fun project. Like this shows me I could definitely do this for my own thing. she had reached out to me around 2018 or so after graduation. And it was just like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, things are going good. I think I want to get into this marketing thing for real. And she's like, well, I actually was reaching out because I have this business and I want to apply for this competition. I want you to go in and be a partner with me on the business and do the competition with me. And I was like, why? She was just like, well, you know the business intimately. You know, you wrote the business plan. You do a great job pitching. You're really great at public speaking. People love you. This makes sense.
All true,
and we're friends.
all true.
Thank you. And I'm like, okay, sure. Let's do it. And I said, but if we're going to do it together, can you also be my first marketing client? So I'll do this competition with you. I had no context about what it was about. I'm like, I'll do a competition with you. Why not? As long as you can be my client.
Like, I'll scratch you, scratch.
That's it.
It's got to be a win-win.
That's how you build community, right?
Right. Absolutely.
You got something, I got something.
I love
Let's trade. And so we went through that process. You had to, and the competition, by the way, was the blueprint from Young Enterprising Society with Q and Khalif Elamine.
Oh yeah,
shout out to those brothers. Those are some amazing.
They doing some great
stuff.
But we were a part of their inaugural cohort, and it was a lot of competition that went through that process. I remember that weekend. I don't know how many businesses were there. But you had to do, it was my first time doing like a 30-second pitch. I didn't even know what a 30-second pitch was.
And I was
quick.
Like, we were just talking about the elevator speech with Kelly Felder.
And it's everyone should do it. It doesn't matter if you go into marketing or not, but just knowing how to create a very concise thought and just breaking it down into layman's terms is just such an important skill.
It is.
It doesn't matter what you do with your life. Just knowing how to break down communication is just, it's a necessity. And so we went through that process, learned how to do our pitch, and we were one of 12 organizations that got selected. One of the other organizations that got selected to be a part of this, 8 to 12 week program was Aziz. So Aziz was actually one of the first people that I met, and we were technically competing against each other. And so our first interaction, was an interesting one that we love to talk about. And we immediately clicked. Throughout that entire program. Like, he had all these great ideas. He was also working on a digital marketing company. And I'm just like,
Aziz has roots here at WNOV too.
Yeah, I know. So, and I haven't been here in some years, and we used to be right upstairs. This is our
welcome home.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, good to see you again, Devo. But and I remember when the office got redone and everything. So this is certainly home for me for sure.
That's beautiful.
But I met him through that competition. We competed for the entire duration. Ironically enough, at the end of the competition, the team or the group of cohorts members had to vote on 2 individuals to speak on behalf of the company or the experience in the cohort and kind of advocate for why initiatives like what Q and Khalif were putting on is so important for our community in particular, and why there should be more funding for it. And Aziz and I were the individuals that were selected. And so we got to kind of prepare our speech and everything together. And by the end of that experience, we just were like, we should do work together. We ended up tying second. Let me also say that. He's just like, we should have never tied second. But we tied second for the competition. And I think that was just a sign that we work really well together.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
So we kind of got into that fold. We were working really heavy. At the same time, he and Raven were already working together on his business. And she has an amazing project management and operational mind. She's a genius. And so, she was helping him get together. And then I kind of met her that way. I ended up finding out as we were working together, maybe a year and a half in, Raven and I are actually related.
Okay.
So we are a family-owned business.
That's how it always happens.
Literally.
Yeah. And so we always make jokes about how we're related through my dad's side of the family. Her nephew is my cousin, and he shares the same name as my dad. And I'm like, listen, you stuck with me now.
But you know what? I think that's always kind of like how life happens. It's like we go through turns and you say, how did we get here? But this is where we were supposed to be.
It's truly divine.
Well, I was just going to say, this whole story is similar to that, right? So I think about, you talk about the professor, first of all, 2016, then come back to 2018, the seed was planted.
That's right.
So right there, that patience had to be going. You went on about your business, and look how that seed rooted into something that turned into this. So yeah, everything is kind of is uniquely designed, and it's the way it's supposed to be.
So what I want to do is talk about like one of the things you actually got going on right now. And that's what Voices of Hope. And so when we talk about this, I think this is one of the things that the community really needs to dig into, because this is it's a youth suicide prevention initiative, but it's so much more than that. So I want you to just talk a little bit about what kind of got this in motion for all of the things that you do. You said, why was this important for you?
Including the name too, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think before I do that, I'll kind of take a step back and just introduce Empower. Just briefly for the listeners who may not be familiar. I'm always shocked when someone knows our name because we don't put ourselves out there, and so when someone recognizes us or our work, I feel very blessed by that. But Empower, we really are a marketing and a community outreach agency. We specialize in strategy, campaign, and community outreach, and really creating that personal touch with the way that we approach connection to community members. And the heart of our work really is having a heart of service. And we are folks from the community that think about community, but we do it in a way that's really intentionally designed, that's informed by community, and that ultimately is impactful. Our goal at the end of the day is to contribute to the community that we come from and try to uplift. And so we like to say, and thinking about, social determinants of health, right? That really influences the type of work that we do, because we think about, what are the different factors of a person's life and livelihood, and how can they live healthier lives for themselves. Instead of thinking about the social determinants of health, we like to think about the self-determinants. How can we empower you? And so the name Empower kind of has that connection to empowerment. And for us, recognizing that empowerment starts from within, but it's also informed and it's influenced by community. We need to always be sure that we're kind of touching community from an intergenerational approach, right? And so thinking about how can we bring our elders and our youth together. Everyone has something to give. Everyone has something to the table, that they can learn and kind of digest and contribute to. And so in us doing this work as a marketing entity at our core, we've had the opportunity to partner with another marketing agency by the name of Serve. Serve and ourselves kind of came together and said, hey, we want to do some work with youth in particular. We know that youth in Milwaukee have a very unique experience. They have a very unique perspective, and particularly around the topic of mental health. And so it's not just youth suicide prevention work. It's just thinking about mental health as a broader identity or a broader topic. And so we decided to come together and create an apprenticeship. And over the weeks that I believe it's let me double check.
I know it's a 6-month program. I think it goes from like March to June.
And so we have some opportunities to extend it a little bit from that May into that end of June period. But yeah, it is a couple of weeks. We have 13 students that we're working with, and
I love the small group setting too.
I love that. Absolutely. We were really intentional to not say, let's get 30 youth together. We don't want to overwhelm the space. We want to create, intimate relationships with the
create
youth.
That socialization. That in itself is a preventative technique.
Exactly. And so it was a very intentionally designed partnership and apprenticeship that we came up with. And the goal is to bring these youth together to say, hey, we know that we can't talk about youth mental health without bringing you to the table. And we know, more importantly, we cannot develop a marketing campaign and awareness campaign that is not informed by you or led by you. So what our goal is between Empower and Serve is to really teach these skill sets and these tools to the youth so that they can, whether you want to go into marketing or not, the communication skills, the research skills that you develop, relationship building, networking, all of those are skill sets that you can take across any industry, across any vertical, right? And so we're trying to teach youth these skill sets while also listening, while also learning from them, and then putting them into these positions where they can actually see that something that they have thought of as an idea, one can be materialized and can be materialized in a way where they don't have to limit themselves or their identity in order to still create impact and outcomes, right?
Come on.
And so that's kind of like the beauty of this work. We just got started a couple weeks ago. I'm really excited to see kind of what they come up with and the ideas behind it, because we're really like passengers. We gave them the car, they just got their license, and now we just in the passenger seat, right?
And when I do some consulting work as well, and a lot of times I just say sometimes we just facilitate their learning.
That's it.
So you're bringing them together, but what's most important of all of this is that you're trying to go where they are. You're meeting them where they are. And versus a lot of people like to come into play. This is what I have planned. This is what I have. What works for you?
Yeah.
But none of it.
And you got to think about it from the perspective of a teen. Who wants to hear that? I'm already in a school setting where I'm being talked at. I'm being limited. I have to go home where I'm being talked at. I may not have as many extracurricular activities that I can be a part of. So I don't really have as many opportunities to show up as my full self, right? As opposed to saying, hey, here are things that you can do. Here are tools that you can use. What do you want to do with it? And we're just like,
let me ask you this, because you are giving them this amount of freedom. What are some of the things that you've learned where you said, wow, this has empowered me, this has impacted me in a positive manner?
So I would say with our most recent session, we actually have, because this is again,
and you have some great people to come in to be able to speak with us.
For sure. So Serve, they have a very unique setup. Serve is the nonprofit arm of the marketing agency by the name of BVK.
Okay.
And so we have the opportunity to pull in other marketing experts from the area to come in and kind of speak to how they approach addressing certain topics or problems. And so at this last session, we had some representatives who formerly had did work at BVK and who were a part of like their brand strategy team, kind of introduce what is a creative brief. Before you see something out in market, there are quite a few steps that has to be taken in order to develop that idea. And this is what that process looks like. And then the second half of that particular session was to say, okay, now in thinking about the topics that we want to have around mental health, let's talk about how we can set up a brief. And some of the things that I thought, one, I always find it interesting and both like heartwarming to see how the youth connect with each other. You never know which personalities are going to really click with one another. And so when you kind of see, oh, okay, these two are getting along really well, that's always really great. And to see like that introverted person start to slowly come out of their shell, because we got a couple of introverted kiddos in there. Those youth leaders are truly amazing. So one, seeing that is really heartwarming for me, but also just how eloquently they speak and how aware they are of themselves and the issues that we're bringing up. Some of the pieces that came up were just their recognition of them being almost an outcast to the conversation, and just thinking about ways to be more intentional for how the community and how parents and how leaders should and can do more direct outreach to youth to get them to be a part of the conversations, because they recognize the power that they have as influencers among their peers. That was a very enlightening reflection that I had as a result of the conversation during that like strategy brief.
I need to know, like, I've heard Empower, Serve, BBK, but then it started off with this Voices of Hope. I need you to tie this all together.
So Voices of Hope is the name of the apprenticeship that Serve and Empower have put out together. Serve is the nonprofit arm of BVK, so they're kind of like the same marketing agency. But Voices of Hope, the reason why we wanted to name it that, because I remember that was a question you had. We wanted to just be very direct. And thinking about what's been happening, not just locally in our community, just with a lot of changes, and not to get too political or social, there's a lot that is impacting our youth in a way that it has never impacted us. by virtue of social media.
And I was going to ask you that. I don't mean to cut you off, but
no,
when you
go
do
ahead.
it, so how do you include or exclude social media with that double sword that brings?
So that's actually one of the first things that we talked about when we introduced the program to the applicants. And by the way, like I said, we have 13 youth leaders. We had over 150 applications. Wow. So it was a rigorous process that we had to go through to select these youth leaders. Ooh. And when I say we have like top of the top quality, I mean, they are so affluent, they are so well spoken, they are just so ambitious, and just such an inspiration. But the 13 youth leaders, we gathered them together the first day, and we always believe in, because one of our ideologies is that in order for you to create collective impact, we have to have just a set standard for communication and accountability. So we create a code of conduct. And that code of conduct is always informed by the team who's going to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. Social media was actually one of the topics that we took some time to talk about quite a bit. And one of the questions was, how much do we want it to allow us to influence our work? And we found a really happy gray area, I'll call it, because the youth leaders, they recognize that they are both negatively and positively impacted by it. They want to use social media as a primary driver of this work, but they also appreciate learning, and we've started to introduce to them other ways and other modalities for conducting research. We know with this audience base, social media, TikTok in particular, is their Google, right?
Yes.
If I saw it on TikTok, it's real.
It's real.
I don't have to fact check
sometimes too,
right?
And I can learn some things. So
you
I can see it.
I've definitely saved quite a few things, right? But recognizing that they are aware of that, to then also say, but we also want to learn how else we can learn. They're very aware of that, so they make our job a lot easier.
So the metacognition level is high there. I guess what I'm curious about now, then I think about like all of the things you say, about doing research. And as a researcher, the one thing we taught is that good research spawns more research.
That's
so
right.
What are you thinking about as you think about future? Like, say, we kind of got this cohort. I don't know if it's like a pilot group, how we can expand it, what we can do. So what's some of the hope for the future with Voices of Hope?
Absolutely. So similarly to how Aziz and I were a part of the inaugural cohort.
Is that the music?
Yeah. I'm trying to give you the Google eyes, like, bro, we need a break.
You just going and flowing. Listen, man, my goodness, this time is going way too fast. Listen, we're going to be back on the other end, but you got to tune back in. Imani's going to give you what's going on for the future with Voices of Hope. You're listening to Nyumba Upendo on WNOV 860 AM. Thank you, Dr. Moutry. We'll see you.
Welcome back. Nyumba Upendo, WNOV 860 AM. We're so happy that you stuck around. We are talking to Imani Taylor. And if you missed her on this last half, you have missed the information from a very intelligent, beautiful Black woman here in the city of Milwaukee. We were talking about the voices of hope. You want to talk a little bit about that? Just go ahead and give us your what do you want to say about that?
So Voices of Hope is a youth apprenticeship that's focused on teaching 13 youth how to develop skills around implementing a marketing campaign. The content that we're focusing on for this apprenticeship is around mental health. And so we are elevating the youth to really dictate what that campaign looks like. We're teaching and giving them the skills to learn how to develop and what goes into a campaign, and then also how to market it, and then how to promote it from there.
Okay. I know we're getting close to the end. So it's like this time is going so fast. Like we're really gonna have to have you back.
For sure.
But what I want to say is, or what I want to ask you real quick, at the end of the day, how will you know that this Voices of Hope is successful? What would you see? What would you hear?
So a part of it is us determining those KPIs or metrics with the youth. And so we determine with them.
Indicator.
Yes, KPI is a key performance indicator. And so we ask, what does success look like to you? A part of it just generally is how many people have we reached? Based on what we said, the focus of the campaign is, do we want to get people to take action by calling? Are we driving them to a website? What are the things that we want to see? And we're still in that creative process with them right now. But once we've identified what the focus is, then we come up with those specific KPIs to determine success. But generally is how many people have heard about it, seen, engaged, liked, shared on social, things like that.
I think the biggest thing I love about this is we always talk about how do we engage the youth, and what you're doing is engaging them in a positive manner, allowing their voice to be spoken. I guess I'm asking you this: what happened for you as a young person that you saw where you said, I know this is what I want to be? I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, but hit that point again.
I think being around very confident and artistic family members, and being okay with just being self-empowered as a youth growing up was what taught me that I knew I wanted to be in this kind of a lane. I think that's what I would say.
Dr. Moutry.
I love it. I mean, because we've had two guests now. We started off with Kelly Felder, Imani Taylor, and we're talking a lot about entrepreneurship, and we're talking about how youth can begin to understand themselves, and first of all, getting that basic knowledge of themselves, knowing what they want to do, and being able to say, sometimes you don't want to work for other folks, right?
That's right.
And you had to go through a journey of doing some work, and then you finally got to a point to know, absolutely. But you got to a point now, you can say, this is what I know I'm supposed to do.
That's right.
And so not only are you just keeping it for yourself, but you're saying, I want to empower other youth to be able to do those same things.
I got one last question for you.
Okay.
You do so much for other people. What do you do for yourself to make sure that you keep your self-help?
I love this. We were just at a Better Ways to Cope event, and we got to focus on that. So I'm getting back into reading more. Right. So I used to be an avid reader as a child. I love like crime novels, murder mysteries, those things. And I'm now learning how to be more aware of my body. And so I'm taking like Pilates classes. Me and my friend are going to take some Milwaukee rec classes like swim, things like that. So I'm trying to get more active, but then also just create space for myself.
No, I love
Dr. Kweku, I'm going to put you on the spot. What are you doing for yourself lately?
Well, right now I'm doing Ramadan. And so when you go through Ramadan, it is such a spiritual, powerful experience where you start to recognize, especially when you get hungry, where your real strength comes from and what you start to lean on. But it's not just a fast from food. It's a fast from foolishness. It's a fast to be able to refocus yourself on what you're doing. So being able to have that chance to recenter, it's been great for me. So Ramadan Mubarak for everybody who's doing it and practicing it. I know it's that time where it's hungry, but hey, this is where you pray, and this is where you really get to see who you are. So, you talk about where do I want to be better, and you really get to be intentional about that. So what about you, Dr. Moutry?
Oh, well, thank you for passing the baton back. I'm into taking care of myself. So I've been really focused in on exercising. So, I've been loving Orange Theory, getting that workout in. And then I'm also still that self-care person as far as pampering. So yesterday I went to go.
Sunday,
don't call me on Sunday. I'm taking a nice hot bubble bath, but I just actually went and got you see the skin is glowing a little bit. I just went and got a facial yesterday. So I still enjoy doing some of that pampering time as well. But thanks for asking.
No, listen, everybody, you've been listening to the Nyumba Upendo show. We've been talking about hope for the youth. Kelly Felder, she still has some slots open for her entrepreneur boot camp. We'll put that on the slot, so please look at it. We have I love Amani. Yes. I love Aziz. I love Raven. These are some young people that are just doing some great things for our community. And even though this is on the youth, like I said, they do things, as she said, intergenerational, from pediatrics to geriatrics. So Voices of Hope, keep listening, because they're going to bring a program, a project out of this for the youth, but also include the youth going.
Absolutely.
Listen, we got to go because Shopton is coming on next real soon. But hey, listen, I just want to put you in the words of Mama Daisy said, the best way to heal yourself is to help others. So go help somebody else today. We love you, Milwaukee. We'll see you next week.